another story for you today. This time it relates to self-awareness. The first pathway to the luminary leader is authenticity, and a big part of authenticity is self-awareness. And self-awareness happens at lots of different levels, and we're all aiming to be at the maximum level. But just to give you a quick review, level 1 is the most basic level, and it means that you are aware of yourself. So in any situation, your focus is your performance, what you're doing, what's happening from your perspective. Level 2, you become a little more aware of the facts and the situation at hand. It's a little less egocentric. You started to step outside of yourself. You're seeing what's happening outside of yourself. Level 3 is where emotional intelligence starts to enter, and you actually have an understanding of the unspoken. You're getting a feel for the vibe of the situation, not just what's happening and not just how you're showing up. But level 4 is like the maximum. It's where you are not only aware of what's happening on every level, but you are aware of your impact on it, and you seek to positively influence the situation. So I have a little story to bring this to light, and it's not one that I tell very often, but it's where these levels, and especially the lack of level 4 in this situation, really kind of hit me upside the head, and I wanted to share it with you today. So a couple of years ago, my dad was getting married, and my sister and I were going to go to Austin to be part of the festivities. That's about 3.5 hours from here, so it was a trip. And normally when we go visit my dad, we stay at his house, but because he was hosting the wedding at his home and there was a lot of family coming in, we decided that we would make this an adventure and stay in a hotel with our families. So my sister has 2 teenage daughters and I have 2 teenage daughters, and we're going to book a hotel and stay in the hotel and kind of make a fun weekend out of it. Well, we wanted to have a suite where our rooms were connected and we could actually open the door and, during all times go back and forth between the rooms and just make it kind of fun. So when we called around to book the hotel, we worked really hard to find one that offered suites. All the hotels were very reluctant to promise us a suite, but we booked with one that said we had the highest probability of getting a suite. So we booked our hotel. Well, we went in early. We arrived actually Thursday night. During the week, the festivities were on the weekend. We arrived early because we were part of the wedding party and we wanted to be there to be part of all that. And when we arrived at the hotel, the first thing that I learned upon checking in is that we did not get a suite. And I was so disappointed. So much of what I thought the weekend was going to be about banked on our families being able to be together in this suite, and we weren't going to have a suite. So to try to help, the hotel booked us across the hall from each other, but it still wasn't what I had expected, and I was kind of reacting to it. I was very disappointed and I was reacting to it. So when we arrived and we got into our room, I called my dad to let him know that we were in town, and he wanted us to come over right away. Of course he would. He wants to see us. We've come from out of town, and he's excited about the weekend and wants to see us, and I told him, I said, look, I've got to get over myself. I am so upset about something that is out of my control, and I need an attitude adjustment, so I'm going to hang here for a little while. I'm going to go with my family and have a very informal dinner. We'll come back to the room and I would see him tomorrow morning. So that night, by that time the night rolled around, Thursday night, my sister had arrived, and the girls were excited, and they were going back and forth between the rooms and probably being a little more rambunctious than we would typically tolerate, a little louder. And a businessman who was staying in one of the adjacent rooms decides to come out to the hallway and kind of correct the situation. And my husband, who's normally a very gentle man, got really entangled with this man and almost belligerent. He was Arthur was very confrontational, which is not like him, and I supported him wholly. I did understand where the guy was coming from because I'm a business traveler, and I know you might have to travel. You're on jet lag. You've got a big presentation or a meeting. You need your sleep, right? And you don't want to deal with teenage girls. And business people and vacation people, our motives and what we're trying to do don't always match. But I supported Arthur because for some reason this was upsetting him, and so I'm going to support him. But I couldn't understand maybe why he was behaving that way. I really kind of had to ask myself, why would he get so upset about this when normally he would have corrected the girls and we would have gone into our room? And that's when I kind of realized that he was reacting to my mood. I had been so disappointed about not getting to have the sweets, and that's kind of rare for me to have a mood adjustment like that. And I was going through the steps to do that, but while I was doing that, it was impacting him. And he was reacting to that. And it was such a great realization and reminder to me of how we do impact what's happening outside of ourselves in any situation, and there's a great responsibility that comes with that, and losing awareness around that can create problems. And I just kind of got jolted back into living into that and what that meant for us, and I'll never forget that lesson. I'll never forget that lesson, and I hope that you'll remember that story the next time you kind of lose some awareness or think that maybe it's not that important that you be aware, because it really is. It impacts a lot of people. Good story. Burn bright.